Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from group 1 SI45INT. In this time, we will do demo starting from creating database from event. After that, adding the query from Workbench, then creating dashboard in the Locker Studio. First, we gonna start in creating database. Create database and the name. Dwbi underscore sales underscore ops. After creating database in event, we're gonna connect with our workbench using MySQL workbench. Here, change the hostname. For store the password. For the username using avn admin. The test. For the connection name, we use my SQL assignment. For that, we add the query using open file Dwbi cell ops and then run it. Here the database in that to check it. We can use select for example from Excels. Here is the data from Dwbi cell ops. Next is we connect the database to the looker for make dashboard.
Okay, after Adit made the database from MySQL and then push it to event, we're gonna connect the looker from event. We're gonna choose data source, create get data source, and we're gonna choose the MySQL. MySQL. The host name is same like before, it's MySQL. The port is 1750. The basically we have sales ops. The username is avn admin. And admin. The password, this password is this. Trying to authenticate now. Okay, okay, we have the table, but I want to where's the query? Wait a second, I want to paste the query that we already have. Wait, Okay, this is. Okay. We're going to pass the query and then we try to connect with it. Okay. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to change the data type about the I think the first one is about the Monday, the day. The day we're gonna have to change it to day. Yes, day. 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 The day of labor. Okay, we're gonna explore right now. Okay, in here I will demonstrate about how to make the I think for the basis I think for the I think we're gonna for me I'm going to make the pivot for the state and cells on the down. Okay, gonna change this to the state. We're gonna add cells. Actually, we also can do the what was it? We can also do the range about the date. So we can custom the date. So for example. For example, like from 2022 till January 1st, until maybe 2020 September. Here we can sort. Okay, for the other diagrams, so my friends will make it. It's us. Okay, I think we can move to Jiho. Thank you.
Okay, now I'm going to be using the Looker Studio, and the data set has been created by my friend Adit here, and the database itself has been connected to the Looker Studio by Kevin. Now, there are three required charts that is needed in order to create the dashboard that was requested. The first chart is going to be gauge. I'm just going to be putting up samples here. And then the second chart is going to be a bullet chart. And then last one is going to be a text chart. So a simple table would do. Now we are going to be editing each one of these in accordance with what we need. So this is going to be a sample and not the actual KPI that we set. Now for the gauge chart itself, there's a lot of setups that you guys can do here. There's styles here also that we can also use this to utilize our design. Now let's say I wanted to create the amount of sales the company has done. Give it a moment. As we can see here, the total amount of sales that has been conducted is around $800,000. Now, let's say we wanted to set a KPI within the gauge chart itself. Now we can show a target and set how much is the target. For example, we are going to be setting up the gauge chart based on the target, which is going to be, let's say, 500,000. Now, as you can see, it's 500,000 means that it's in the middle, and it has the sales itself has exceeded the target. Now, if we set it a little bit higher, it's going to be right over there, and we can see that the line in the gauge chart itself is going to be the key performance indicator. And because the sale itself hasn't reached 900,000, that's why it hasn't reached the line that we set on the target. And that means that the sales performance itself cannot be considered a successful progress, considering that it hasn't reached the key performance indicator yet. Now, of course, there's a ton of settings that we can do. For example, the metric, we can change it to whatever we want. We want to change it to the amount of quantity that has been sold, the month, the discount, etc. And we can also edit the data range. We can add a filter. We can also design the color if you want to. For example, I'm going to be using green for the KPI itself, for the amount of sale that has been deducted, and then red for the blank. So red means that it hasn't reached that amount of sales yet. And then there's comparison metrics. We can also show the axis. So how much is this one and how much is this one, 0 and a million. We can also show the target, edit the background, etc. Now, this is going to be for the bullet chart. The concept is practically the same with a little bit of differences compared to the gauge chart. Let's see, for example, we want to set the range at 1 million. As we can see here, and then let's put the metric as sales, just like the gauge chart. Now, we can see that the sales has reached over here, 800,000-ish, just like the gauge chart has stated, and the amount of range limit is going to be from 0 to 1 million. Now we can set this however we want. For example, we want to set it 900,000. We can also do that. We want to set it to, we want to set it to 500,000. We can do whatever we want with it. But for now, let's go with 1 million. And after that, we can also set the target for the line itself on the bullet chart. For example, the KPI is also like the gauge chart. Let's say it's 900,000. Now we can see that the line is over 900,000 and the bullet chart itself hasn't reached 900,000. That means the sales performance has not yet reached the desired KPI. Now for the for the text chart itself, it's going to be a bit different, but the same context, I suppose. Now, let's say we want to sort the table based on sales and then state. Now we can do so by doing, for example, we want the metrics to be sales and the dimension itself to be, let's say we use state. After using it, let's say the target of the text chart is to showcase the top 5 performing state. Now this has actually showed the top 5, as we can see here. We can use it to ascending and then descending. That means this one is going to be the lowest performance of sales, and this one's going to be the highest. And we can also do like a secondary sort, default data range, filters, etc. Now, if we want to use, if we drop this one here, it's going to show over 10 rows, and then we can also slide it. But let's say we want to showcase only the top 5. What we can do is show the rows per page in 5. And what it does is that it shows the top 5 performing states in accordance with the cells. There's Washington, Florida, New York, Texas, and California. You can pretty much do this with anything. Let's say we want to use this at a subcategory or category. Let's just use subcategory. And we can see that turns out phones, in terms of sales, is the best performing subcategory in the company. Now, I've shown you all 3 of the chart itself. Now we are going over to showcase the assignment that we were assigned regarding the dashboard itself. Now, this is what we made. The task itself requires us to create at least 2 gauge charts, 2 bullet charts, and 2 text charts. But of course, we added a little bit of other tables. For example, we have a city map where we can show off where the sales are happening with heat maps. So we can see here, turns out there's a lot of sales activity in California and in New York and Illinois, and we can see it proven here. And then there's also a line chart that shows the amount of sales conducted with the primary axis as months, followed by two lines of year in accordance with the year that the sale was conducted on. Now we're going over to see the primary charts that was assigned to us, and we already set the KPI, and if you want to see it, we can see it here. For example, the first one is we want to assess the current US market to determine states' buying power in terms of state and then city. So we can see it in here that the top 5 is going to be California. In terms of state, it's going to be California, New York, Texas, Pennsylvania, Illinois. And then for city, it's going to be San Francisco, Los Angeles, San Diego, Fresno, and Brentwood. And this means that these 5 cities has the best performing sales and they have a strong buying power in terms for our product. And then number 3 and 4 is going to be that we want to assess the current customer buying trend by monthly period and then yearly period. And this one we separated with chart. We merged it with gauge chart so it won't be too confusing for the filter itself. Now let's say we want to see 2022. And in 2022, the amount of sales per year for all of our product exceeds our KPI, which means in 2022, it's the company itself did an amazing job on sales performance. But in 2023, it is unfortunately the sales has not reached its full potential because it hasn't fulfilled the given KPI. And for the month itself, if we want to see in December, we can do it. And we set the month for the KPI is going to be 70K. And turns out for December itself, in total for both year, it has exceeded the amount of total sale, the KPI. But for months like, for example, July, it hasn't reached the KPI. That's why it's below the line. And lastly, for the last 2 KPIs, going to be assessing the sales performance by category in office supplies and furniture and just technology. And both of them, for technology, I set it on 150K. And for office supplies and furniture, we set it at 130K. Let's say we want to see the year 2022 again. We can see that technology, furniture, and office supplies did great in sales because they all exceed the KPI itself. But in 2023, we can see that the only category that achieves the KPI is only the furniture category. For the office supply itself, it is far beyond the KPI, and the technology also hasn't reached their KPI too. Yep, that is all from us. Thank you for listening for today's demo session for Data Warehouse and Business Intelligence Dashboard. And thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.